What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. I'd like to begin this video by giving a huge shout out to TCG Player for the opportunity to be a part of their affiliate program. If you want to help a content creator out, all you have to do is click on the TCG Player link down below, and it won't cost you anything either. So the new card that we'll be getting from the Horus archetype is the Stonewall of the Imperial Tombs. It's a field spell that reads, this card's name becomes King Sarcophagus while on the field zone. During your main phase, you can add one Horus monster from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. You can only use this effect of Stonewall once per turn. If you activate the effect of Horus of the Black Flame Deity, I'll have a picture of it somewhere on the screen. You can draw one card. Keep in mind, we really won't be using that card at all in this video, and it's not something that you'll see at all in competitive play, as the Stonewall is really the important card that we got out of Phantom Nightmare. But we're going to start here ignoring Droll and Lockbird, as we're going to activate our Stonewall, get ourselves the Imseti, put back the enemy controller, use the effect of Imseti, get ourselves King Sarcophagus by pitching the Mali, activate the Tear Field spell, get ourselves the Rhino Heart. We did draw the Scream, which was a crazy top deck, as we'll then be able to normal summon the Rhino Heart, use the effect of Scream Chainlink 1, Rhino Heart Chainlink 2, as we'll then be able to get a couple of mills. You see that we do get some good mills there with the Tearlaments Kashtira and the Soliac. We also do get the send off of Rhino Heart, which means that we get a fusion, and we're going to go into the Dangerous since we pitched the Mali. We then get a couple of other really good mills here, so I'm just milling like crazy as we do hit the Trivi Karma and the Mudora, and from here we're then going to be able to add ourselves the Merly. Now, I added the Merly because we have the Trivi Karma in the graveyard, so with the access to the Dangerous, we can go into the Beatrice, as you'll see momentarily, pitching the Merly, and then the Beatrice will be able to get us into that third tier name, or rather, that second Aqua, so that we can go into the Kaleido Heart with the Sharon's effect, as we do have the Rhino Heart on board. So we're going to special summon out the Kaleido Heart, then we can use the effect of Trivi Karma getting us the Soliac, and at this point, if you have an extra card in your hand, you can keep King Sarcophagus in hand, and set the Super Poly and the Soliac, and then pass on to your opponent. But another thing that you can do is, you can just continue to play on, and send your Happy off of the King Sarcophagus, get access into the Zombie Vampire. From here, we'll be able to mill 4, and what this does is potentially give us a second body, maybe some more graveyard effects if you are lucky. In this case, we're going to get an on-field effect, which we don't happen to mill anything good in that particular case, but we're going to then go into the SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight can then activate its effect because we used an Exceed monster for its Link Summon, and we'll be able to banish a card from our opponent's graveyard, which is really nice since the Zombie Vampire happens to send cards to their graveyard. And we're going to pass to our opponent's turn, where we can use the Beatrice at any point in your opponent's turn, and then we can send ourselves a copy of the Sharon, which means that we'll be getting a few more effects via the Dragos Depelia, which can become a disruption. You then have the Field Spell, which can turn into a pop, and then you also have the Scream for more mills, which can potentially get you into something like Keldo, or any other tier name to get you into more fusions and stuff like that. Now, for the second combo, we'll be featuring Phantom Knights, another very popular deck with the Horus cards, and we're going to start here by activating the Tombs. We didn't draw the greatest combo hand, so we kind of do have to play into Droll here, and we're going to add ourselves the Imseti, pitch the Fogblade with the Imseti, as we'll be able to activate the reinforcement of the army that we get off of the draw. And the reason why I pitched the Fogblade was precisely because if we milled something off of the Zombie Vampire that was a Phantom Knights, then we could just have more extension from there. But we're then going to be able to use the effect of King Sarcophagus. You also don't have to rely on hitting the Torn Scales if you happen to send the boots over the Fogblade, but we're going to get our Happy in the graveyard. We'll then get access into the Zombie Vampire, use its effect in order to get some mills. And I also would like to mention that in the deck list, you'll probably notice some weird ratios, and maybe even the fact that I'm not playing the Adventure Engine in this particular deck. Now, if you want to go over 40, you can, and then add the Adventure Engine in there. But what I was finding was that once you add the Field Spell and you kind of max out on the Horus Engine, you can play through hand traps and other interruptions that way outside of stuff like Droll. What it also means is that you're going to have less space for going second generic cards if you do play the Adventure Engine, and I didn't know how I felt about that. So we're going to continue here by special summoning a monster from our opponent's graveyard. Now, do keep in mind mind, the only reason why I did this is because the chances are relatively decent that you will hit a monster from your opponent's graveyard, but I also did hit the cloak and the scales, which means that I can get extension that way. Now, I won't dilute the combo too much as I'm going to add ourselves the boots, use the effect of scales. At this point, you could technically make a dark if your opponent did have a dark monster, and then that way you can get into your rusty that way. But because I'm just going to treat it as a random monster, what I'm going to do is special summon out the boots, go into the Levier, use the effect of Levier, and at this point we can link away into the Masquerena, as we'll then be able to go into the Rusty, use the effect of Rusty in order to send away the gloves, and set the Fog Blade, as we'll then be able to use the effect of Cloak, get the attack boost for Rusty, use the effect of Fog Blade, as we'll revive the boots, and then from here we can go into the Break Sword, as we'll use the effect of Rusty in order to pop the Break Sword, and now we can revive 2 Phantom Knights, and keep in mind, I'm not going to be reviving the gloves here, because we have a boots and gloves in the graveyard, which means that we have more options, as you'll see momentarily, as we're going to activate the boots, get ourselves the Shade. This means that our Redoer becomes a disruption, which is really nice, as we'll then be able to activate the gloves, send ourselves the wings, and then from here you can use the wings in order to bring back a Phantom Knights monster. I'm just going to bring back the Break Sword because we play a second copy of it, and then we have the follow-up that we get via the Torn Scales and the Ancient Cloak in graveyard, but we're then going to go into the SP Little Knight. We can also get that banished by using the Break Sword as material as well for the SP Little Knight, but with this we can then set the Droplet and pass on to our opponent. Now this third combo features the Orcus Bystial Horus list, and we're going to start here with activating the Lubellion, and this one plays around draw a little bit better because we do have access to 2 bodies once you use the effect of Lubellion and get yourself the Bystial. Now we're then going to activate the Imperial Tombs, assuming you don't get drawled of course, as we'll get ourselves the Imseti, put back a card, as we'll then be able to use the effect of Imseti, add ourselves the King Sarcophagus, get ourselves a draw, use the effect of King Sarcophagus, which will pitch the card drawn, as we'll send the Happy, get ourselves access into the Zombie Vampire, use the effect of Zombie Vampire, which will get us a few mills. We'll also be able to bring back one, as we'll then go into our Mask, use the effect of the Bystial Magna Hut so that we can get ourselves the Bystial Search in the end phase, but we also have access to Lubellion, which means that we can get into Regained or the Branded Beast if you want to play that, but we're then going to use the effect of the Orcus Nightmare targeting the Mask, use the effect of the Branded Regained. You can use it at any other point if you would like to as well, but we're going to use the effect of Harp Horror, use the effect of Girsu, as we'll then be able to get the send for the Wand, go into our Galatea, use the effect of Wand, get back the Harp Horror, as we'll then be able to use the effect of the Galatea, put back the World Wand in deck for the Crescendo. At this point, you have a couple of options where you can keep this board, pass onto your opponent, but you can also go into your Ding if you want to get it into the graveyard, and link away into another Galatea before setting your Imperm and passing on to your opponent. Now, the next one is Chimera, and this one features another new card that I didn't get a chance to read in any other video, so I'm just going to do it here. Envoy of the Wax State reads, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Envoy once per turn. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle, so kind of like other illusion monsters, but at the end of your opponent's battle phase, you can activate this effect. Until the start of your opponent's next battle phase, all attack position monsters your opponent currently controls cannot change their battle positions, and they cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon. Also, their effects are negated. So a really strong battle trap that Illusion's got, which is really nice, and a really cool looking card as well, as we're going to start this one by not playing around Droll again, as we're going to add ourselves the Imseti off of the Stonewall, and then we're going to put back the Envoy, use the effect of the Glory or the Imseti. We'll send the King Sarcophagus, as we'll add ourselves another copy of King Sarcophagus, draw one. We'll then be able to pitch whatever we draw for the Happy. We'll then be able to get access into the Zombie Vampire, or we'll get access into Photon Lord, Zombie Vampire, or number 38. It depends on what you're playing and what you want to do. But we're then going to be able to use the effect of Cornfield, add ourselves the Mirror Swordsman, normal summon the Mirror Swordsman, special summon out the Baphomet, use the effect of the Baphomet. From here, there will be a couple of options that you can do as we add the Gazelle. At this point, I'm going to go into the Chimera, and then we can use the effect of the Gazelle along with the Baphomet, along with the Chimera as Chainlink 3, which means that we'll get the revival of the Mirror Swordsman. We'll be able to rip a card from our opponent's hand, and in this case, I'm going to add the Tau to hand. We can use the effect of Chimera Fusion in the graveyard, and this is where the different options come around. If you wanted to get yourself yourself Cornfield Coatl for follow-up, you definitely could. You also could get Tau if you would like to use it for the Chimera fusion after you set it here. But the other option that you can do is use the effect of Chimera fusion on your own turn instead of going into the Guardian Chimera on your opponent's turn. Use the effect of Tau in order to revive the Cornfield. Then I'm just going to send a random illusion here off of the Baphomet. But keep in mind that you can send yourself a floodgate, that you can revive yourself via the Chimera. Like the Dark Statue that you see in the side deck, there's things like Tiger King that you can play as well. This is just another avenue that I wanted to show, while also being able to show that you can just end on passing with Guardian Chimera and not doing any of this stuff at all. Now, for the final one, we have Horus Vampires, and we're going to start this one again with the field spell, I believe, as we'll be able to add ourselves the Mseti, and I wanted to fit in Vampires in this one just because we are making zombie vampires so early through the Horus combos, and just being able to get yourself access into the Vampire level 3 that we got in Battles of Chaos or whatever it's called last January or February leaves a lot you can do, and just a lot of cool things that are now doable that Vampires didn't have before. So we're going to go into our zombie vampire, use the effect of the zombie vampire, be able to mill a few. We do get unfortunate mill with the vampire domination, but we're going to normal summon the vampire level 3, get ourselves the grace, sending ourselves the retainer. We'll then be able to link away into the vampire sucker. At this point, if you would like to, you can use the effect of sucker in order to revive an opponent's monster, get yourself an extra draw. Another way that you can get yourself extra draw without relying on your opponent having to mill a monster via the zombie vampire is just through the familiar, so you'll be able to get that draw regardless as long as you don't get interrupted. We're going to then get ourselves the Scarlet Scourge or whatever it's called, then we'll use the effect of retainer so that we can add ourselves a copy of the Vampire Foolish, and I think it's Vampire Desire, yeah, as we'll use the effect of the Desire, we'll then be able to change the retainer to level 6, as we're then going to use the effect of the level 3 for that extra normal summon / tribute summon. We'll summon the Scourge, revive the Baron that we sent off of the Desire, and now we can use the Grace in the graveyard, which gives us access into 2 rank 6s, or you can go into a Link 2 plus a rank 6. But in this case, I'm just going to go into the Wallow plus the Bia. Then we have a couple of more sets that we can pass on to our opponent with, which I just think is really cool for Vampires, and a deck that's really been dead for the majority of its life. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 700 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support. Now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. Get the channel membership, just click on the description below, and there will be a link that takes you there. Also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.